A story that you originally pitched the Raven character, the Jim Cornette and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and Jim said no before you talked to Paul and Todd. Is that accurate?
Somewhat. I talked to Cornette. He was going to bring me in, and he kept pushing it because I knew I needed a TV show. Like some guys can get over, get themselves over just doing matches, doing high spots and stuff like that. But I knew my character needed a TV, a weekly TV show to get it over. So I talked to Cornette, and I had heard nothing but bad things about ECW at the time, and but so and then I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, but I saw Cornette was going to bring me in, but he's pushing it back ever for like a month, and then next month he pushed it back, and next month. And in the meantime, I saw ECW on TV because I moved to Philly, and I thought it was the best TV show I'd ever seen. And so I was like, I got to be on this show.
When you think back, the transition.
So it's a good thing that Cornette never brought me in.
When you think back at Johnny Polo and you're doing commentary with Gorilla Monsoon and you're the manager of the Quebecers, and then the next time we see you on TV, you're coming in introduced by Stevie Richards in a totally different character. That had to be a hell of a transition for you. Was it seamless?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I didn't realize how much I was going to take out of my personal life, that character. But I understood the character. It's interesting. Like Paulie saw right away. Paulie saw that it was going to be more than I even thought it was going to be. Like he really saw the so he was there. He was a great what's the word I'm looking for? He was a great advocate. Yeah, perfect. That's perfect word. It's a great advocate of it, and so it was easier for me to take it deeper and deeper into my psyche and into my baggage, and it is what it is.
You had a vignette almost every week in addition to being on.
Well, I'm good. I'm good TV.
You and Funk, and then you and but of course, you and Dreamer and Chair Shot heard around the world. We talked about that last week. We were kicked off to the cage, then fucking Chair Shot. I don't know how you ever saw straight again after that.
Yeah, you guys were wanting me to take like 10 chair shots, and I'm like, no, I'm not taking 10 chair shots. And Dreamer's like, you pussy. And I'm like, you can hit me 9 times in the back and then once out there, but they're never going to remember 10 chair shots. They're only going to remember one. And they remembered it,
You had to hear him there backstage when we would do a match, especially with Dreamer. Go like, all right, you do the fat ass drop on top, and you always call him fat ass every time we do anything with his ass. He's a funny guy, man. But he gets credit as like he and Dreamer went on for a year, the greatest feud ever. And I take him and Sandman and that whole storyline with the Whites and the Kid as one of the greatest storylines I personally, not because they're my boys, but I personally ever seen was that storyline. It was phenomenal.
Thank you. I'll put that storyline up against anybody's storyline ever.
Yeah.
I haven't watched wrestling in 20 years. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't watching it back when they did the alliance in WWE and then they didn't use anybody. They just buried everybody. It broke me sort of in a way that it broke my love of watching wrestling. Not my love of the game, but my love of watching it. And so I stopped watching it and I never picked it back up. But so I don't know. There could be better storylines that have played out over the years, but up to that point, though, I'd put it against anybody's, any storyline ever.
What was your favorite between you and Dreamer and you and Sandman? Was it you and Dreamer?
It was different. It was like being married to 2 different women, and they were both bitches. One had a fat ass and one had a pomegranate for balls. Sandman's balls look like a pomegranate.
Are you upset that Bubba Ray took your fat ass gimmick on Dreamer now? Because that's all he ever tweets, that Dreamer is calling him a fat ass.
No, I'm glad to see that my legacy's lived on. That's my proudest legacy.
We'll do a match, and it was always he called. No matter how many people were in the match, Scotty called the match. And you see him in the back, and he'd be going through like 30, 40 things in a row. And you see these guys, their heads are spinning. They're going, yeah, wait, wait. And then Sam walk out of there stumbling, going, like, are you drunk? He goes, no, Raven just told me the match. I don't know what the fuck he just said. It's like holding his head. He didn't know where he was going next. But he was so on point. I mean, like each bang, 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 bang. And like, it was amazing to watch him formulate a match. And he always was the one who did his matches.
Well, here's the thing is you want it to be as choreographed as tightly as possible without looking choreographed.
Right.
So I just made stuff like, it was simple stuff like, okay, I mean, not simple. I mean, there were simple things in there, but it was stuff like, if you're getting, just for wrestlers, young wrestlers, just starting, if you're getting slammed and the next thing you're doing is being shot off the ropes, don't just lay there in the center of the ring where you were slammed, crawl to the ropes so you can be in position to be shot off. And then as the guy comes over to get you, start to stand up. It's just simple stuff like that. But I just took that to the ultimate level, and that's
most of these guys were green though, and you had been you're a veteran, so you had this kind of knowledge that they didn't have. You imparted that to them. Stevie will tell you, and Salmon will tell you, they learned more from you than anybody else they ever met in the history of the business. You were like a teacher to them.
When Raven walks into the locker room and starts calling his stuff and has the luxury of doing it all, what was the most complicated thing you remember Raven ever calling?
Well, no, to me, the idea was he was one of those guys that he said, all right, you and Sandman, are you a dreamer? And we just walk away. I mean, Paul and I both. Neither one of us ever said, like, we want you to do this. He just did it, and it worked. As long as it kept working, there was no reason for us to ever interfere and say, no, do it this way. Or how about we try? He was on his own. He had his own, like, his own department almost. And he had his little group there. And he kept adding to them so he would never have to take a bump. The idea was more people come in, the less bumps he has to take. And that was brilliant on his part. So he's got a musketeer. He's got, a guy in crutch.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing is this is what the part that everybody hated was the fact that I was lazy and I didn't want to take a lot of bumps, but it also fit my character perfectly to not take any bumps until it was time. And when it was time, I always took all the bumps that were necessary.
Absolutely.
But it was ironic and hilarious to me that all the boys hated the fact that I was lazy, but it just worked out for my character,
They also hated the fact that when it's time for his match, so where's Raven? So they quit, got to the parking lot. There's some rat out in the parking lot giving a blowjob. Scotty, come on, you're up. Hurry up. He'd say, hurry up. I'm up. It's like, what? Who is this guy? He's like a Superman out there.